When it comes to insurance and choosing your insurance companies, how do you guys do that? Hey, I'm Hunter with Nelson Insurance. I'm gonna run over how I've chosen my carriers. I've got a couple carriers that, in my opinion, I really shouldn't even have. They're a little out of my league, and how your insurance carrier options that you choose is super super important for your agency. So when you guys are trying to figure out who you're gonna have for insurance carriers, it depends all around the niche and what you guys are insuring, your location, all type of stuff. So if you are in personal lines, um, how are you gonna decide who you are going to want to bring on? In my opinion, as an agency owner, you want to have a majority of your options that are fairly generalist insurance companies, and then you guys want to have some of your specialty insurance companies that are going to go in there. They're not going to win all your deals, but they're going to win those deals that are going to get people to talk about your insurance agency, send referrals over, and really anything on those lines. So, for example, I'm in the trucking space. Our agency does a lot with transportation insurance. Now, I cannot be in the transportation space and not have a Progressive, Geico, wholesaler with Canal, Northland, like any of that type of stuff. I absolutely have to have those insurance companies. I can't go in with just one insurance company, um, like a I'm just trying to think of like a niche option, for example. I don't know. Let's call it like a Sakura. Like Sakura does trucking, but they want local, sand and gravel or grain haulers or something like that. Like me going into that trucking space and having just them is gonna be super super tough because there's gonna be general freight guy or there's gonna be over the road guys who call me. There's gonna be all sorts of different things where it just knocks them out of that ballpark. And so when you get people insured with Sakura and they're really cheap because they're very picky on who they take on, so they're competitive on it, that's going to get people to refer you over. And then when the referrals come over, nobody's going to say, hey, I just got insurance through Sakura through Hunter, but they only take 300-mile radius and 4 years in business and claims free and all this sort of crap. Like, I'm just making this stuff up. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm just saying that, but they're not going to go say it to the referrer. Just, hey, you're in trucking, my buddy. He just got me insured for here. It was really, really good. They're going to bring you in, but then they might not qualify. So then you need those generalist insurance companies that makes sense. So getting into personal lines, you want to know everybody in your area. Personal lines, it's extremely area based. Like I'm in South Dakota. Travelers is not competitive on the east side of the state, but you get to the west side of the state. I talk to agents and half their book is with Travelers. I can't hardly write anything with them. And so knowing the areas that you write and who's competitive there is going to be a huge difference. It's not going to be like that quite as much in commercial where you're going to see that difference in competitiveness. I hear people talk about how Geico is not competitive for personal lines. They're actually pretty dang good for us in South Dakota. I don't know what it is but they seem to do pretty well here, or especially on our side of the state. So you want to know who are your options, who's really gonna be dominating there, and it's gonna be a lot more focused on your area, and then even if you're in personal lines or just general commercial, I think you have to niche down in anything in insurance. Niching down is how you win and how you separate yourself, how you pick your carriers. That, in my opinion, is how you really become successful as an insurance agency owner. And so, if you're doing personal lines, we do personal lines. I niche down to personal lines. We really want to see high net worth clients. I'm in South Dakota. We don't live by the ocean. We don't have stupid money here. So I can't go bring on Chubb, AIG, Berkeley One, Cincinnati, and go start writing all $5 million homes tomorrow. Like high net worth clients in South Dakota, even though I live in Sioux Falls, the richest part of the state, uh, you get $1 million, $2 million home, like that's pretty good. So people don't spend a ton of money here. You do have some $2, $3 million homes, but I mean, like what I'm saying, it's not as common. So I can't have all these high net worth carriers. So I've got a couple high net worth carriers. I've got a regional that requires at least a $700,000 home. I've got Chubb who requires at least a $500,000 home. I'm in Travelers and Nat Gen and stuff like that. Will dabble in. I've got a couple other guys who kind of take a look at it, and so that's what I really like. I really like that stuff. And if you're not gonna be a high net worth client, then I at least want you to have multiple lines. So we want to insure people with life insurance, their health insurance. I want to get all that stuff. You have to have a home or multiple lines. Our agency, we will not insure you if you do not currently have insurance. You will not get quotes if you have a DUI and need an SR22. Do not have insurance, like I just said. Want limits lower than 250, 500 on your personal auto. If you want that stuff, best of luck. Go find somewhere else. We'll still do your auto and renters because like I'm talking about this right now. Because I rent. My parents rent right now. They rent because they're taking a year between. They just sold their house and they want to find something to renovate it. So they're building the house up from scratch, and my dad's doing it himself. So it's gonna take a year. I'm doing it. I'm renting right now because I don't want to spend the money in a home. I'd rather spend on the agency at the moment. I'm a young guy. I've got my rental property, so I'd actually rather have it in rental properties. Like I don't think renting is a bad thing. So I just require multiple lines, and so we know that renters are at some point hopefully going to buy a home. That's their goal. You've got retired people who rent because they don't want to own a home. They want to live in town and they want to have a landlord who does the lawn care and all that stuff for them. So we really push for the umbrella. That's more important to me than actually the homeowner's policy. So we'd like to see the umbrella. We want to see some life, health, multiple lines. All we care about. You got to have multiple lines. And so by doing this, we know we want to have package carriers is really our ideal thing. We want to have package options. We want to be able to be competitive on all lines, so I need to make sure that I've got a monoline umbrella option if need be. So I've got a really good monoline umbrella option here in South Dakota. I've got my options that'll do the all-in-ones, like my Chubbs, my regionals, the stuff like that, where I can go in there, do the home, auto, umbrella, all packaged together. I have the ability to do, the monoline stuff if I need to, because what happens if they have got a home auto or auto renters and umbrella, or something along the lines where they just want auto and life. That's not ideal, but multiple lines, that's what we'll take that all day long. And then, just looking at that, we've got an option that's got a high wind hail deductible. And wind and hail is not a huge problem here in South Dakota for the deductible wise. I mean, there's definitely hail here, but most of our guys are not like 2-3% wind hail deductibles. We do have a couple that are. So then we got a deductible buyback program where we can do that. And not a lot of guys in South Dakota have that option, where now we can still offer very competitive rates and a good product, but just the deductible's high. So let's go do a deductible buyback. So that's kind of how I look at my home and auto options. If I'm going to get into commercial, I'm doing it right now. I'm getting into a niche. I like transportation, so I want to make sure my niche is in transportation. I want to open up another niche. You go look at some of these big agencies that have got a couple niches and they create a program for it. You can go create a program where you get the paper, you create your own insurance company, blah, blah, blah. Or you can just say, hey, there's not a ton of insurance companies for this thing. I'm going to open up a little niche where I've got basically all the options. I've got resources and guides on it, and we're an expert in the field. That's kind of like another little program in the agency. Now, you can't go do this on personal auto insurance. There's a million insurance companies. But something like, I don't know, flood. You can go open up a little flood program like Chris Green. There's not a million flood insurance companies. You'll get most of them. You're going to win every option. You are going to win most of the time. Go be an expert in it. Give advice on it. Hey, maybe you don't need flood insurance. How can I be a consultant and get you out of the flood zone? Something along those lines. Now you're going to get referred flood like crazy. And so you want to look at your niche to really find your insurance company. If you're going to do something broad like trucking, then you got to kind of figure it out. Maybe you can just be a generalist. Maybe you can go get the Great West, the Progressive, the Geicos, who's a big blanket carrier, the Acuities, if you're in the Midwest. Or if you're in, California, Benchmark, something like that, right? Go get the main carrier options. Yeah, you're going to write business there just fine. You're going to do just fine. You're going to get lots of referrals. Those are still big names. You're not really going to have a hard time with it. or you can go find some niche options. There are niche insurance companies. Like there's regionals. There's a bunch of regionals here in South Dakota or in the Midwest that'll do agricultural trucking. So that's something I'm really trying to get into. It's agricultural trucking in the Midwest, and then go get these local regionals where everybody's out trying to hunt the, like I just said, the Great West, the benchmarks, all that type of stuff. Depending on who kills it in your area, the acuities, you know. I want to get some of these less popular options where they'll still come in. Not a lot of people are really super focused on them, but if I got enough business to write the with all the restrictions and pickiness of the insurance company, then I'm still gonna be able to go and dominate that area, you know. So I can even niche down in a niche instead of just doing trucking. What if I did agricultural trucking in the Midwest? Instead of doing trucking, what if I did logging? You know, in not the Midwest, but like the Upper West, right? You know, what if you're doing oil field trucking with fracking sand and what do they call it? Uh, Gosh, not fracking water. I can't remember. You know, the polluted water, we'll call it, from the oil field. I'm blanking on the name right now. Um, you know, down in Texas. What if you found programs like that? Like CRC's got a program, I think, with Trishira. Go dominate that area. So niching down in your niche. And the niche, honestly, if there's less competition, in my opinion, it's even a better niche. You know, you got a guy. I know a guy out of Texas is getting into tech and cyber insurance. I've got a guy here in South Dakota who dominated cyber insurance nationwide, and just because he was doing cyber insurance, because nobody cares about cyber insurance. You know, Chris Green's doing flood insurance. Nobody cares about flood insurance. The stuff that nobody cares about, there's not a lot of competition in it. There's not a lot of insurance companies in it. So if you go get them all, you write the business. When people need it, you're gonna crush it. You know, like there's a niche that we're really trying to get into for transportation. You can't really go get it through like your home and auto carrier, you know, your whatever. Trucking a little bit. Everybody's got Progressive, so they're just gonna. Some of the guys are just gonna go get trucking insurance through their home and auto insurance agent. Not a bright idea, but create an option where people can't do that. You know, if you ask for a cyber insurance policy and the insurance agent has no idea what they're doing, yeah, they probably can go quote it with like Coalition through some MGA or some crap, but it might be so jacked up they don't even feel comfortable to have any ethics to even offer it, or they're not going to know what they're doing in the quoting process. We're going to stare at the client, like whatever. If it's tough enough where even you think like nobody wants this thing, it might be a good niche. I think a lot of people just forget about that, and that's how you get your insurance companies. Go use AI to figure out who will write that product in your area or anywhere in the Midwest. Go start documenting every single insurance company you see when you go against that competition. You don't need every insurance company to start off with, but get a couple. Go write down everybody you see. Who do you lose to? Document it all, and then go start getting your carriers. Build game plans to go present to the insurance companies. Hey, this is why I want you. Here's my book right now, and yeah, our agency is the largest professional lines liability writer with one of our carriers for a certain transportation class in the nation after 1 year, because we got into a class that nobody really likes, and after 1 year we're the largest on it because it's a little niche nobody knows about and nobody thinks to even get into. It's actually kind of small premium. The PL policy is like $1,000, but you got the commercial auto along with it, and a lot of people need the PL and the GL, and then we got the commercial auto, and it kind of kills it. And so we found every option to take it. We're still continually growing and working with other companies, and we've really become a big name in that space. So go get your insurance companies, find your niche, do your research, get a game plan, create a 5-year plan, go present with the insurance company, take your reps to supper, take them to lunch, don't take no for an answer, and get it done, and you will excel as an insurance agency owner.